Alright, welcome to another Element Fission video, and today I'm going to go over the 1.9.2 update note that I've just dropped in the game. So we'll go over to the notice and have a look at these details. I haven't looked at them yet, so I'm not too sure what to expect. Right, balance update included in this. Now, bear in mind I am still new to the game, so I don't quite know all the elemons yet, and I don't have any of these Electromancers, but we'll go through the balance update and I'll see what I think. Water, Fire and Light, remove the leader skill and gain a new skill 4. Right. So Shock, Water, Fire, Tree, Light and Dark. So before, when landing a critical hit, increase your action bar by 10%. After the patch, when not landing a glancing hit, increases your action bar by 10%. So that's probably better, so you don't need to build them with critical rate. To get that action bar increase, it's just basically you don't land a glancing hit, which is going to be most of the time unless it's against the negative affinity. So that's a positive, I believe. So Frost, Flash, Water is new. This must be the new skill 4s. Your attacks do not land critical hits, would have a 25% chance to apply freeze for 1 turn. And then Fire has a 20% chance to apply burn for 2 turns when attacking. And then Light, after being attacked, recovers 10% hit points for all allies and can only activate once per turn. So the Water one, you don't need the crit for the action bar, and now you don't need the crit. This looks like a passive, so that means with a 25% chance to apply freeze on each hit. I'm taking that to be. And the Fire, again, when you attack, you've got a chance to apply burn. And then Light, when you attack, you've got a chance to recover the hit points of all allies only once per turn. So let's just go and have a look at those in the game. So Water, there, that was the critical hit. That was a strip. And that removed debuffs. Yeah, so it doesn't look like it's a damage dealer. So yeah, it's probably better off not having that crit on there, because you're not building it or damage by the looks of it. So that looks like to be a positive one. The Fire, again, there's your crit. Attacks on enemies, remove chance to remove buffs. And then your passive, remove all buffs at the start of the turn, recover the action bar. So again, it doesn't look like it's a damage dealer. So yeah, it seems a bit strange to have that landed a critical hit. So I think that's better. And then again, the Light, to initiate, it's not a damage dealer. So again, yeah, it makes sense. Yeah, they've all got the same, remove these buffs. So yeah, look like they all support units. So yeah, it makes sense to remove that one needing to crit on the skill 1 to be able to get the action bar increase and the glancing hit. So you're going to get more action bar increases, and it's going to be easy to build them because you can build them tankier without having to get that crit rate in there. So that looks positive. So next we have the Viking, Heart of the Frost Giant, the Water. So before, has a 6% chance per rune to apply freeze for 2 turns. And after the patch, it's going to have a 30% chance to apply freeze for 1 to 2 turns. For each rune you have, the chance increases by 5%. So I don't really understand the Viking rune system yet. I do have the Fire one, but I haven't played around with it yet. But looking at this, you're going from a 6% chance per rune to a 30% chance guaranteed. Good. And then for each rune you've got, increases by 5%. So I'll have a quick look at this one. So these are the runes. So you create a rune when you apply or receive a debuff up to a maximum of 5. So it's conditional, being you've got to apply those debuffs or you've got to receive them to get them. And then this skill here, so each rune you've got grants that 6% chance to freeze when attacking. And the start turn consumes the runes to remove debuffs equal to the number of runes you have. and recover 10% hit points. So yeah, it's a bit confusing really, because you want those runes to get the freeze. Then to start your turn, you're consuming the runes to remove debuffs, and you're only getting this when you apply or receive a debuff. So it does look like it contradicts itself a little bit. Whereas now, you're guaranteed a 30% chance to freeze for 1 to 2 turns, rather than having to rely on that 6% chance per rune. You're guaranteed the 30%, and then each rune you do have increases that chance. So that looks like a positive change, because even if you've got no runes, you're still guaranteed the chance to apply a freeze. The tree Samuroar, Law of the Jungle. So grants self 3 turn effect up. It's just changed to 3 stack provoke. Right. When this skill is on cooldown, the counterattack chance increases from 25 to 35%. So the counterattack chance increase is good. Let's go and have a look at its skill. Get Law of the Jungle. So removes all buffs and debuffs from yourself and the target, and grants yourself a 3 turn effect up, and apply a 3 turn defense down to the target. Then performs focusing attacks. Damage increases based on your hit points. If this ability on cooldown, you have a 25% chance to counterattack. So the chance to counterattack is going up. Grant yourself a 3 turn effect up. It's changed to a 3 stack provoke. That must be on the target. So rather than giving yourself effect up, you're giving the target 3 stacks of provoke, which means they're then going to attack you, and then you've got a better chance to counter attack. So yeah, that's positive in my eyes. Fairy Light Misdirection. Add an effect. Decrease target's action bar by 30%. The standard add an effect, so it's better because it's going to do more than what it did do. Let's have a look at what it did do. So attacks the enemy, removes all the buffs, and inflict 2 turn mark and a 1 turn tempting reef. Now you're going to be attacking the enemy, removing all the buffs, doing the mark, and then decreasing the attack bar by 30%. Yeah, so that's a positive. Bookworm. So all the bookworms. Element Bolt. The effect rate of debuffs has been reduced from 50% to 80%. Now 30% to 60%. So element Bolt attacks the enemy. So he was doing 50% up to 80% chance to inflict 2 turn incurable, because instead of doing 50% up to 80%, you're starting at 30%, and then your skills only go up to 60%. I'm not sure why they've done that, because even fully skilled up, 80% wasn't guaranteed to do incurable, and 60%, yeah, that just doesn't seem to be any need for that one. Reduce it doesn't seem to be overpowered up at 80%. Maybe because it's on a skill 1, you can get it out consistently. But what I've used a couple of these, and I don't think it was overpowered or anything like that. I don't think that change is needed. Rogmeow. So you got your water on, so you prank when attacking an enemy with debuffs. So before, it ignores the target's effect resistance. After, there's a 50% chance to apply irresistible freeze. It looks like the buffing freezes. So this will be because the new dungeons that's coming in, one of them has a mechanic where a drill comes towards you, and you can slow it down or stop it by using freeze. And then when it gets to you, you're basically going to die. So you've got to kill the boss before this drill bit comes to you, and freeze is going to be key in that dungeon. So it looks like they're changing some of these to help with that. And if you look, this is a water one. It's got the freeze. Yeah, maybe the Bookworm Changes also to do with the new dungeons as well. So you've got your water Rogmeow, got a freeze, has this better chance to freeze now. And then your water Electromancer has this chance to freeze. And the new dungeon that's coming in is a fire boss, so your water's got the advantage over your fire boss. So it looks like they're making a couple more water units more viable in that dungeon by adding this freeze effect, or making the freeze effect better. So Yeah, the water one's fine, and then dark damage increased by 25% on Sucker Punch. So we'll go to the Rogmeow. So this one here attacks enemies without debuff, guarantees a critical hit. So they're keeping that bit, which is good because that's what it's used for. Well, I use it for that, to get that big critical hits in. Attacks against enemies with debuffs ignore the target's effect resistance. Now you only put this stun on, and then if you don't stun somebody, it gets extra turn. So I did actually think that was a bit strange because you don't always want to ignore the target's effect resistance because you don't always want to get this stun on. It can be good in some turns to control people as well, but if it's not stunned, you get the extra turn, so you could actually kill somebody with a 1-2 combination. So yeah, I think that one's fine. And then the dark one, it's just Sucker Punch here, so it's increasing damage to this one. So it does attack down and defense down. Yeah, that's just a nice little buff. So yeah, I can see why they're making some of these changes now. It'd be for the new dungeons. So Gyroleon, you water Gyroleon, which is what a lot of new players use for the early game farming and some damage, gets you through some levels in your story mode. So Tail Dance, the base cooldown reduced by 1, that's going to be better. The base effect rate increased by 20%. The relevant entries in the skill upgrade effect are removed and the maximum level is reduced from 7 to 4. At the moment, that's this one here. Attacks on enemies 3 times with a probability of plus 100% to remove a buff, applies your speed down, and it applies your attack down. So that goes down to a 4-turn cooldown. And now it goes to a 3-turn cooldown. And your base effect starts at the top. So rather than having to put the skills in to get the extra 20%, to get the 100% chance, it's now starting there. So yeah, that's good. Very good for early game players because less skills needed. So you need less Gyroleons to skill it up, and it automatically starts with that 100% strip. So that one is a good bonus for new players. Turtle Tank, the Bulwark Light. The damage reduction now increases from 15% to 20%. It's removing the effect to increase the max hit points of all allies, and adding an effect that after you're attacked, grant all allies defense up for 2 turns. That's going to be on a 3-turn cooldown. I don't have this one, but basically increase the max hit points of all allies by 10% of your max hit points. To me, that is quite a good passive because you build this one with loads of hit points, and then you're increasing all of your allies' hit points by 10% of that, which could be quite a big increase. Instead, it's going to be when you get attacked, you're giving them defense up, which isn't as good because you do have ignored defense champs, so that doesn't really matter. The defense up can be stripped as well, so you're losing quite a bit of hit points for defense up, which can be stripped or ignored. So I think that's a bit of a nerf. But decrease the incoming damage of allies except you by 15%. That is going up as well. So that is a buff because all allies are going to take less damage. So it might balance out overall, but I think I would prefer to have that max hit point, especially if you pair it up with hit point damage units, like your light bear, stuff like that. That you want more hit points on. So I think overall probably a nerf, but it might balance out. That looks like all of the changes to the elemons. That's the balance update. So feature update for specialization. So type adjustment. Light mana arms loses the core specialization. Water Viking loses the nuka specialization but gains the core specialization. And after the update, specialization points for related elements are automatically forgotten and need to be relearned. So it's changing these two here. I am guessing that's probably because when the relics come in, there's going to be a relic that grants an extra turn. It can only be used for elements with the core specialization. So I'm guessing light mana arms, they don't want to have the ability to use that relic. And then the Viking, it's losing the nuke specialization, but gaining the core specialization, so that can now use the extra turn relic. One of them might have been too overpowered with that relic, and then the water Viking might be useful in that boss fight that we're getting with the extra turn relic, possibly. So relic, new. So a new type of equipable item, divided into elemental relics and specialization relics. Coming in, each elemon can equip to 2 relics. More details about the relics refer to the developer note 1.9.2. Now I did do a video on those developer notes, so if you want to see what it's talking about, you can go back and look at that video. Elemental relics, so they're categorized into different elements: water, tree, fire, light and dark. So you can only equip a relic if it matches that attribute. The specialization one, initiator, nuker, disability, support, tank and core. So you can only equip relics that relate to them. Again, which might be why they've changed a couple of the specializations above as well. Then you got unique relics. When a brilliant grade relic drops, there's a chance to get a unique one. I think they said in the previous one there's 80 different ones. Also, there's the one that allows extra turns. Substats of unique relics do not follow the same patterns as ordinary relics. They be relatively fixed. They can have passive effects, and I think they can have slight variations in. So, like if you get attack on it, it's not the same attack every time. There's slight variations in that, but the general substats are going to stay the same. So you got the two new dungeons that's coming in. Again, I went through these in the previous video on the update. So the new dungeons where the relics are going to drop, you've got the Mad Chemist, which is water, and the Lava Crawler, which is fire. It's that Lava Crawler that I said about having the freeze mechanics in there. So the water dungeon drops the elemental relics, the fire dungeon drops the specialization relics, and the extremely high difficulty dungeons, bosses are immune to continuous damage effects, action bar reduction effects, and take reduced damage based on max hit points, which just makes it so that they're not as trivial. You can't just easily beat them by like putting loads of dots on and blowing them up like you can in some of the other dungeons. Action bar reduction effects, again, means you can't mitigate any of the boss's abilities by just keeping the action bar down like you can in some. Max hit points, again, reduce damage. Some speed dungeon runs, it's your max hit point units that just get them through. So they're just making it harder by putting these conditions in. So your Mad Chemist, 2 assistants continuously inject acidic and alkaline solutions to the professor to maintain the acid-base balance. When the acid and base are in the balanced state, the professor possesses powerful hit point recovery capabilities. By defeating an assistant on either side, the acid-base balance will be disrupted and the professor's recovery ability will be weakened. So you have to take down at least one of the assistants. However, at the same time, depending on which assistant is defeated, the professor's portion become either strongly acidic, strongly alkaline, and each of these two conditions greatly enhance the professor's abilities from different angles, putting pressure on your team's survival. So, depending on what those additional abilities do, you might want to take out one or the other, or maybe even take out both to start with before you take down the professor. I did mention in the previous video, I thought there might be some kind of mechanics around defeating one or the other and making the balance more acidic or more alkaline. So yeah, it's confirmed here that there is some skills within there, and we'll need to work out what the best way to attack that is. Lava Crawler, massive but slow moving machine, will appear from a position far away from the screen. After each skill is used, it crawls forward, and using the freeze effect, it can be stopped from advancing towards you. When it gets close enough, unleashes a devastating blow. So again, I mentioned in the previous video, I thought that was going to be the case. So as it gets closer to you, you're basically going to die if it gets to you. So you want to use those freeze effects to slow it down. You need to kill it before it gets to you, which is why I think some of those balances to add those freezes in comes into effect. It just gives a couple of extra units more viable for this dungeon. So we've got a new event, Growth Support event. This event will automatically activate upon each account creation or account reset. So only valid for accounts created after this updated version and will last 30 days from the date of account creation. So this is just for new players, so existing players doesn't really matter. So during the event period, engage in various battles to earn event points and claim generous rewards. So new players can get legendary gears, primal heart, power beans, unripe power beans, selectable 3-star light dark attribute elemon, interesting, selectable 4-star water fire tree attribute elemon, and brilliant Illyrium. So yeah, you could, depending on what you get, you could reset your account to reroll. You've got this brilliant Illyrium here. I believe, is that the one that gives you a 5-star? Which means you could re-roll until you get the 5-star that you want. And that's 5. Yeah, I'm not a big fan of re-rolling in games because I think you can get to the point where you just do it over and over again, trying to get that perfect starting unit that by the time you get it, you're fed up with the game, or you're burnt out just farming it. And it also makes it harder because a lot of people now they can create accounts and get like a really overpowered elemon or arena, and then early game arena is just full of these overpowered units. So we'll have to see how it goes. But overall, for a brand new player, if you're not going to re-roll, if you're just going to create an account and play, these things are good because you're getting legendary gears. Depending on what that comes in, it might be still be RNG for what drops, but it's still good to get off to a good start. You've got your primal heart, which is good for your early game specialization because you've got to farm the higher levels of your elemental dungeons to get them, which are harder. Power beans for skill ups for your Nat 5, Nat 4s, always going to be welcome. Selectable 3-star light dark attribute elemon, so get one of them. That's quite interesting because you can, I'm guessing you can pick any of the 3 stars, which is quite good. Actually, I'll go on and have a look. So from my early game experience, I am not an expert on this at all, but some of these might be really good pick for early game. So I know this light Gyroleon, I've mentioned it before in videos. When you attack a critical hit, it applies a stun, and then it also, if enemies under any ability effects, your attacks absorb 10% of the action bar and recover hit point to allies equal to 10% of the damage done. And then you've got this attack all enemies here with defense down. So I'm finding this very useful in the Lost Tunnel particularly, because you've got defense down and a good chance to stun, build with 100% crit rate. Every hit 70% chance of doing a stun, and you can control full waves doing that. So early game, really good. This Popo Rider is a very good one. The skill 2 is a target's max hit point damage, and the skill 3 also has the target's max hit point damage plus additional 40% if the target is immune to stun. So for bosses, 2 big hits, which really helps get them down, especially again in Lost Tunnel, really good. I think from the light ones, I would, based on my early game knowledge, I would probably pick the Gyroleon, to be honest. Really good at controlling wave content. Onto the dark. I haven't been using a lot of the dark ones so far. This Clockwork one increases speed by 50% for each buff you have, and then you've got this one here. This one here ignores target's defense damage based on your speed, and you're getting extra speed for each buff you've got. Would be quite an interesting nuker. I haven't fully built mine yet. This Pumpkin Freak grants all allies 2 turns of effect up, recovers up to 18% hit points, and additionally increases the action bar based on the percentage of overhealing. So at the start of a fight, if you go first, you use this one, increases the action bar based on overhealing. Everyone's already fully healed up, so it's 18% action bar boost. And at max, it goes to 114 speed. And then with your initiator specialization points, you can do a 5, that's 119 speed. It's probably one of the fastest units in the game. So you can probably build it to make sure you're going to go first. And then 18% action bar. There is better units with bigger action bar boosts, but they don't have this base speed. So that's a good one. But I think, looking at these, I would say, based on my experience, yeah, the light Gyroleon or light Purple Rider, but take what I say with a pinch of salt because I've only been playing for just over a month, and I'm sure more experienced players understand them more than me. But early game, if we're talking about early game, I think I would recommend Gyroleon just because the control is just so good in wave content. Right? And then you're also getting a selectable 4-star water, fire or tree attribute elemon. Now this is where there is going to be a lot more options to do, because being able to select any 4-star elemon of those, your standard attributes, I think it's going to be a case of which one do you want to go for, get. It's going to help your account. I would say you probably want to do a few summons first before you choose and see who you get. Looking at these ones here, again, take what I say with a pinch of salt because I'm not as experienced as a lot of players. I'm talking early game because I'm still early game. I haven't completed all the dungeons yet. So the ones I think are good, Puppet Artist. This water Puppet Artist is really, really good. At 6-star, you're getting an arena speed lead, and it's 25 speed. So for early game, getting an early speed lead is going to help you, farm arena points. You've also got, the attack one pushes the action bar back and has a chance to sleep, which is quite good. Yeah, skill 2 attacks all enemies. The first one has a chance to freeze, and the second attack has a chance to sleep. So there's some more control. But what comes in good is this passive as well, where it inflicts a 1-turn defense down whenever you attack enemies, and if the target is suffering any debuff, it's decreasing the action bar by 15% as well. Paired up with this first skill, also absorbs action bar. There's a lot of control in this unit. There's also defense down, and you've got your speed lead. I found this really good in areas like the Lost Tunnel. I'm using it in my heavy metal team. I'm using it in some PvP battles. So for what I've experienced, really good early game unit. The engineer robot, I've just started building this one. This one could be quite good for some of the PvE content. The first skill has a chance to remove a buff. The second skill does a recover hit point for all your allies. It also decreases the cooldown by 1 turn. So it helps the rest of your team get the skills off cooldown. And then the passive shortens the debuff duration, except inability effects by 1 turn all allies, and grants a healing of a turn to the lowest hit point ally. The Sky Place is good for PvP. You get this guild speed lead, 25 extra speed in guild battles, which is good. This skill here, it grants all allies attack up and all enemies defense down. It doesn't hit, so it's a good one to put defense down on enemies where you don't really want to hit them and you get an attack up. So again, it's good for PvP. It's also quite good for PvE as well. On to the fire ones. Which ones do I recommend for fire? Well, you've got this engineer robot. This one here. So increase the action bar all allies by 30%. Gives them immunity, speed up and attack up. So this is one where it's really good for going first. It can be used in PvP, it can be used in PvE to get your allies more action bar. Also the immunity, speed up, attack up is really good. It's also got this hit point recovery and decrease the cooldown allies, the same as the water one. And then this one here again to remove a buff, and then allies extra hit points in arena battle. So that is a good one. You have your Fire Gunslinger. Now you do get this one automatically as you go through heavy metal. I think you've got to clear stage 8 and then you have a tutorial to get it, and then once you've got it, it becomes a core part of heavy metal teams and other teams, because this passive here increases the action bar of all allies by 15% each time your attack lands a critical hit. So 100% crit every time it attacks. It's increasing your allies by 15%. 2 attacks in the first one, so that's a 30% increase every time he attacks. And this one here, only a one hit, put a mark on the enemy, which helps increase the damage it takes. But yeah, you want it fast, lots of crit, and it's boosting your whole team up. And it's also got this dungeon lead ability, 25 speed in dungeon battle. The rest of these I haven't really used that much, so I can't really recommend them. Into Tree Bookworm is a fantastic unit, especially for PvP. We have attack all enemies 3 times, attack ignores target's defense. So this is my main PvP nuker. Also good in dungeon runs for some waves, because it's got this, big hit on the skill here 3 times. You've also got attack all enemies here, put speed down, attack down. Incurable on the skill 1, although as I mentioned before, that is being nerfed down to a 60% chance. And then attack in guild battles, which is good as well. You have your Tree Gunslinger. This one again, you get it for free in the missions. You have to complete mission 180, so it does take a while to get it. Really good for PvE content, specifically in the Acidic Ooze in the Abyss and the Juggernaut of Ocean in the Mental Fortress. Attacks enemy 5 times. There's a chance to ignore target's defense, and it goes up for each buff you've got on them. So you bring in support units that can buff him up. He's got a chance to ignore defense, and when attacking at your advantage, which you do in those dungeons because you're attacking water, the chance to trigger is doubled. So big hit on this one, and yeah, this one is key in my Abyss, Acidic Ooze and my Mental Fortress Juggernaut of Ocean teams. So I think personally, for me, if you're picking one of these early game, Tree Bookworm, you can't go wrong with the Tree Bookworm. Good for waves in PvE content, really good for PvP. It's actually one of my first 6-stars I made. It wasn't the first 6-star, but one of them. It was the first one I got 6-starred specialized. So I would recommend that Bookworm. And then within the water, I would recommend probably the Puppet Artist, just because it brings that control. It also brings that speed lead in the arena when you get the 6-star. It brings the defense down. So for me, early game, again, take it with a pinch of salt. The Water Puppet Artist or the Tree Bookworm. I don't think you can go wrong with either of them for early game content. So I would probably pull elemons for a while first, and then see who you haven't got, and then have a think. But yeah, they're the 2 I would probably recommend. And then your Brilliant Delirium, just you're gonna get Nat 5 from that. And then just I would take what you get, but you could account reset, and you could farm these, and you could, pull all your elements that you get on the way, select your 4-star that you don't have, pick whatever Nat 5 you want, keep going. It could take you weeks, months to get a perfect account, but you could get a good start. Right, Flash event. So they've added a flash event related to the Runes dungeon. It's going to open on the 22nd of each month and last for 3 days. So we'll see what that is. I imagine it's going to be like we've got now in events going on. You just farm those dungeons, and based on what drops and what level you're farming, you get points, and they're fairly easy to max out. A challenge category related to Runes dungeon. We've got challenges for all the other dungeons. They reward various stuff depending on what you complete. So you complete stage 5, you might get something that might give you a free elemon based on attack this dungeon using freeze, and you get this elemon, normally 3 stars. So yeah, that'll be similar to what we've already got in the game. Settings, ignore pop-up settings, so it now affects the pop-up window when selling gears, crystals and relics, right? Gear panel mode switch. It's now possible to switch the display format of substats on the gear panel between the old plain text mode and the new progress bar mode. Other updates. So the fixed issue where after the light twin blade was killed under Hex and resurrected, part of the passive effect retains defense would fail, so that's just a fix. Fixed issue where the effect half the action bar reduced suffered by all allies from the tree monk's passive did not trigger correctly. The fixed issue where Samuroar sheaves his blade via the passive effect, it would incorrectly trigger the dark monk's passive. Fixed issue where at the start of the battle, if any unit had hit points below 50%, the fire assassin's passive stat count did not refresh correctly. Fixed issue where when a mentor achievement was completed, an error pop-up would appear if the player was currently on the main game interface. Fixed issue in the background battle interface where after starting consecutive dice battles and receiving many rewards, clicking rerun battle would trigger an error pop-up. Right. Fixed issue in the Crazy Dungeon Underground Vegas boss battle where petrified units were not prioritized as attack targets. I hadn't noticed that one. Fixed an issue where when an ally focus was set, the AI logic for certain skills, for example the Water Fairy skill 2, made incorrect judgments. I haven't really used ally focus yet anywhere. In Elite Arena, the required consecutive win count for the win streak related quest has been reduced from 5 to 3. Fixed an issue where the specialization skill readiness did not check whether skill 4 if present was on cooldown. Fixed an issue where when progressing through story stages, newly unlocked maps would sometimes become unclickable. In guild tasks, the required count for quests related to Abyss Dungeon and Mental Fortress has been reduced from 500 to 300. Alright. Optimize the drops from the third guild chest, reducing the probability of gold drops and increasing the probability of other items. The time limit for mentors to remove inactive mentees has been reduced from 10 days to 5 days. Yeah, that's fair enough. I'm not getting this bottom one. Fixed issue where after changing the name in private chat message did not update. Why can't I see the full? It won't scroll any further. I have my on full screen. You can change it by changing screen. Yeah, I'm not sure what that is, and I'm guessing there's nothing else underneath there, otherwise it will scroll down further. So that is it. Got some fixes. We've got something for new players coming to the game. We've got the 2 new dungeons coming. The relics are dropping. They've changed a couple of specializations on units. They've made some changes to balance out some units, which looks like it's going to be for the new dungeons. So that is it for the update 1.9.2 update notes. So if you want to see more Element Fission videos from me, subscribe to my channel. I'll be back with some updates in the future. I will be posting some more of my newbie player series videos, so check those out. Yeah, so thank you and goodbye.